Thank you very much, Brenda. Once again, you're welcome to our gathering this morning, the EGP Leadership and Sponsorship Awareness Engagement. We are gathered as key stakeholders in advancing this or electronic government procurement program. The electronic government procurement is a reform being pushed by the government of Uganda so that we can achieve increased efficiencies, transparency, and accountability in government procurement. And I guess that's what informs our theme this morning, procurement that delivers. Thank you so much for choosing to join this conversation. We expect to have a morning of excellent deliberations, a very short lineup of presentations that should inform us on how we can advance increased uptake of this program throughout all of government. As I mentioned earlier, we have in our midst the top leadership of the EGP, the steering committee members, and in a few moments I will be recognizing some of them who are already here with us. We have accounting officers from various government agencies and departments and ministries, particularly those that have already adopted this system. We have representatives from a number of district local governments also participating, and almost needless to mention, heads of different procuring and disposing units. One more time, from myself to all of you, it's a warm welcome this morning. Can I request us to be upstanding as we have the anthems played? Thank you. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted this morning to have the company of the Accountant General, Mr. Lawrence Semakula. Can I request us to receive him with a hand of applause? Thank you for joining us. We are also extremely privileged to have the company of Dr. Edward Sengonzi Damulira, the Accounting Officer, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. You're very welcome, sir. As I mentioned, we have accounting officers from different government agencies. To mention a few, we have great representation from NITA Uganda, key stakeholders in this program. Can we show them appreciation with a hand of applause? And none less than the board chair of NITA Uganda, Mr. Alex Chibandama, is with us this morning. You're very welcome, sir. We also have PPDA, board chairperson of PPDA, Mr. Julius Ishungisa. You're also very welcome. It's good to have your company. I've also seen the executive director of PPDA, Mr. Benson Turame. He's also with us. You're very welcome. Ministry of ICT, representing the permanent secretary, we have the company of Miss Sophia Nantongo, who is the under secretary. Please help me welcome her. I can see Dr. Fixon Okonye, the internal auditor general. You're very welcome, sir. Your applause could be better. Also, as part of the steering committee, and kindly permit me, I'm not introducing them in any order of seniority. They're a very formidable team that are strategically leading this EGP program. Allow me to recognize the company of Dr. Isaac Charlie Gonza, the Acting Commissioner, Procurement, Policy and Management Department. Thank you for being here, sir. In a few moments, we expect to be joined by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary of the Treasury, and when he arrives, we will make special welcome to him. We want to have a conversation around the dividends so far realized by those entities that have implemented the EGP program. How can we get other entities on board, because this is an ongoing rollout of the program. And so I'll have my colleagues who are running the mics to pick a few expectations from some of us as we give context to the conversation. My colleagues on the mic, I'd like to see you closer. If we could have some of us share what our expectations of the discussion this morning. And as the mic is brought closer to you, I guess the easiest way to see you would be if you raise your hand and the mic will be brought to your table. But allow me to recognize and appreciate the company of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Works and Transport, Mr. Waiswa Bagea. Thank you for joining us. Before we can have our first presentation, would like to hear from you on some of your expectations concerning this conversation or discussion. Do we have one on this side? Excellent. When you receive the mic, I'll request you to rise, kindly introduce yourself, the entity you represent, and share your precise or specific expectation. We still have more of our very dignified guests making their way here, arriving, joining us. Can I have the first person sharing their expectation? How do we enrich the conversation on e-government procurement? The one with the mic, please move around so that we can have those contributions. Allow me, before we get the first response, to appreciate and specially welcome Dr. Joseph Muvawala, the Executive Director of National Planning Authority. You're very welcome, sir. Mr. Moses Watasa, who is the Commissioner of Information in the Ministry of ICT. You're very welcome, sir. Very good to have your company. We are also privileged to have the company of the Undersecretary, Ministry of Water, Mr. Edward Mugunga. Welcome, sir. Can we show him some applause? Ministry of Tourism. We also have the Undersecretary from the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Kakuva. Very welcome, sir. Do we have a couple of expectations of this conversation? How do we have procurement that delivers? My colleague with the mic. Perhaps we'll take it table by table. Yes, thank you very much, sir.
My name is Julius K. Shungisa. I want to hear that EGP will be rolled out to all entities in the next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very ambitious one, but I like its clarity and specificity. Can we have a few more expectations? The conversation is going to center around how we can maximize the benefits of EGP. Please cross over to the lower side. Right there on that table.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm not Edward, so I will be an impositor. Emmanuel Mugunga is my name, Undersecretary and Accounting Officer, Ministry of Water and Environment. I expect to hear when EGP will be integrated with IFMS. Thank you.
The integration of EGP with the Integrated Financial Management System. My apologies are sincere to you, sir. You're very welcome, Mr. Emmanuel Mugunga. Those are very interesting expectations. Can we have another? Please pass the mic to the table right in front of you, that one.
My name is Julian Annette Kaganzi from Parliament of Uganda. I expect to know when all the challenges that we are facing with the EGP are going to be sorted and when the Office of the Solicitor General is going to be brought on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting one. Suffice to say that on the steering committee, we have Dr. John Bosco Souza, the Director Legal Services, Solicitor General's Office. But you want to know when they will be brought on board. We can accommodate one more, after which we'll be happy to receive our first speaker for the morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mhangso Badia. I come from the Ministry of East African Affairs. My expectation this morning is to know those entities which already enrolled on EGP, when shall we stop the manual reporting with PPDA? Thank you. The monthly reports, which are manual ones, when shall they stop?
Excellent. Those of us who have already adopted the system, when are we going to be relieved from the dual reporting?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kabagambe. I'm a member on the PPDA board. I'm sorry I might break protocol. I will give three. The first is I expect to hear the success stories from implementing MDAs. Two, the challenges. I know one of the colleagues has said, when will they be sorted? Since we are here from various portfolios, even understanding them is key to some of us, especially at strategic level. What are the challenges? And lastly, what proposals do we have to fix them? To me, if those three are achieved, I will have achieved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabagambe. Suddenly, we seem to have a flood of expectations. In the interest of time, let's agree that we will take that one from that table as the last one.
Good morning. I'm Margaret Shemerire, Secretary CC, UNBS. My expectation is that very soon EGP will have a way of populating minutes, because for secretaries it's a challenge.
Awesome. Indeed, in our midst, we have contracts committees of the various entities that have adopted EGP, and no better person to give us the closing expectation than a member of a contracts committee. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this juncture to request and invite the Accountant General, Mr. Lawrence Semakula, to come and make his opening remarks as we get this conversation started. A big round of applause for him.
So, thank you, Master of Ceremonies. I was expecting my boss, the PSST, to be here so that I speak, but he says it's delayed. He will be here in a few minutes. So, the PSST, accounting officers present, especially PS from the Ministry of Works, senior government officials, board chairpersons, members of contract committee, members of management boards, heads of PDUs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you this morning to the Electronic Government Procurement Sponsorship and Leadership Breakfast Meeting. Of course, we thank you. We know you are very busy people. We thank you for taking time off to come and be with us this morning. Of course, EGP is very dear to us. And of course, I know to also be dear to you in the future. Before I go further, I will wish to thank the project sponsor, who's the PSST, is not here in absentia, for the support towards the implementation of the electronic government procurement system. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our implementing partners. As you all know, that this project is being handled unlike many other projects, but this project is very unique in that we are 3 partners that are implementing this project. 3 or 4 partners, sorry, not 3. I was forgetting the Ministry of Finance. So we are the Ministry of Finance, PPA, NITAU, and Ministry of ICT. So I would like to thank those partners, particularly PPDA, NITAU, and Ministry of ICT, for the relentless support during the implementation. I know at the beginning it was a very difficult time where all of us were saying the mandate is mine, the mandate is the what, this I'm supposed to do this, but eventually we all agreed and now we are one as one unit implementing this project. Now, EGP is one of the reforms that we are doing under the procurement. As you well know, in government, there's been a discussion, or there has been a belief where it is said that we have done very well in the budgeting and budget execution areas, but we have done very poorly in the procurement and asset management areas. So EGP is one of the reforms that we are doing under the procurement side to be able to improve, create transparency, create accountability within, and to create efficiency within the procurement cycle. We are also doing, for those of you that are involved, you know that we have also done the law to be able to address the bottlenecks that are in the procurement. The law was revised in 2021, and both the Minister of Finance, PPDA, and the Minister of Justice, we are working around the clock to ensure that the regulations are ready and we start implementing that law. We are also working on the human resource side of the procurement to create professionalism within the procurement cycle. And therefore, we need specialists that are professional, other than having everyone pretending to be a procurement person. So those are the reforms that we are doing. And of course, EGP is one of them. So we are working on the legal side, where we have done the law. We are working on the system side, that is the EGP, and we are working on the human resource side. So you all know that EGP began in 2014, for those of you who have been with us. A number of preparatory activities through the support of the World Bank were conducted, and this included development of the EGP strategy, stakeholder engagements to ascertain the buy-in of the reform, standard bidding documents with clearly defined requirements for government of Uganda. And as you all know, or some of you know, a vendor was subsequently contracted in the year 2017, and development works began. However, due to pertinent contract management issues that were encountered with the system vendor at that time, which was European Dynamics, we had to terminate the contract. And when we terminated the contract, because one of the issues that we saw with that contract was that this contractor did not understand the specific requirements to this that were required by government of Uganda. So what we had to decide was to then use a homegrown solution and be able to work with this homegrown solution to define the requirements that we need. So we used the Ministry of ICT under the Innovation Fund to get us an innovator who was a Ugandan, because we also want to support our own. In February 2023, we had an assessment by the Multilateral Development Bank assessment, an activity that was successfully concluded with a report received in April 2023. I would like to inform the members that the bank was impressed with the solution deployment and further gave some recommendations on what needed to be added as a means of making it internationally accepted. So this assessment was done, and we had a discussion. We agreed on a roadmap on certain issues that they wanted us to do. Of course, other issues were not able to accept because they were not common to our situation here, and we are working on that, and I hope that the program, the EGP project manager will be able to add on that. Arising out from this report, arising out also of the amendments of the law, which I talked about, and the new regulations that we are developing, and arising out of the issues that we got from the sites that are already on EGP, we then decided that we have to do what we call a business process reengineering. I'm happy to, and I'm hope the project manager will also talk about that. I'm happy to note and inform you that this process was very successful. We had a lot of engagement with most of you. We had your concern, and I still hear more concerns here, which we shall discuss later. We know there are challenges, but those challenges are being addressed. So we are going to what can I say? We are going to install that re-engineered process business flows, and this should be able to sort out most of the issues that people are raising or currently raising. So I want to assure accounting officers that we hear your concerns. We have been with your issues for a long time. That I want to apologize, but we are working on them, and we are hoping that soon we should be able to deploy that new solution that we have built. The business process report and systems requirement documentation have been complete through the BPR, or business process re-engineered report. Enhanced version of the system is going to be developed. The vendor is expected to commence system enhancement soon. Our target as the management team is to enroll new entities as well as already the existing entities onto the enhanced effective July 2024. So we are saying that, of course, we have been having people saying, no, you are moving slowly. We want as many units on as possible. We are trying our level best to ensure that at least by 1st July 2024, we should be having at least not less than a third of the entities onto this EGP. It is easier said than done to say you enroll everybody, but it's not that easy. So we are trying to phase, and we are hoping that within the next 2 years, we should have all government on board. The teams are working around the clock to ensure that all critical activities are carried out in time to ensure a seamless rollout. Given that EGP system is a homegrown solution, the source code of the system is the property of government. The Ministry of ICT and National Guidance is working on ensuring that the source code of the system, which is a property of government, and the corresponding documentation is handed over. So this is very important in that we are saying this is a homegrown solution. And being a homegrown solution, we do not want to have an issue of sustainability as we roll on many more entities. So we are saying that the Ministry of ICT and the Ministry of and NITAU, although they fall under the same, but they are different agencies, we are hoping that they will be able to have this source code and should be able then to help us as government to maintain the system once it is rolled out. In addition, the ministry is in the process of finalizing the intellectual property registration. This is all being done to work towards system sustainability. As I conclude, I would like to thank the management team of the enrolled entities. Most of you are here. I've heard the issues that you have raised, your concerns that you have raised. We are working around the clock to ensure that these concerns are addressed as soon as possible. However, allow me to reiterate that we can do better. You know, we have been on some sites for some time, and some sites we see that they still needs a lot to be done. But there are those sites that we really need to recognize, and I hope the project manager will recognize those. Sites like KCCA and Parliament of Uganda, they have been doing very well. So the other sites which have complaints that, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that, but these other sites have done it. So we hope that we should be able to resolve your issue if the other sites have done that. So I really want to congratulate those and hope that the other sites will learn from them and be able to also move forward. We expect your total support as accounting officers, as contract committee members, as boards of directors, as heads of procurement, especially heads of procurement. This is to ease your work. I know sometimes change is not very easy, but the accountant side can testify that their work is much more easier now than what used to be before. So we are hoping that you as procurement, you should be able to also take on this reform, be able to support and be able to get involved so that we see the achievements of this reform. I really don't have much to say. I will thank you very much. I can see the project sponsors come. I don't know whether it's the right time to call him, if he's ready. But if he needs some more time, Sir PSST, if you are ready, you can come and address. Thank you.
Can I request us all to rise to our feet and give a befitting welcome to the Permanent Secretary, Secretary of the Treasury. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, the Accountant General. My colleagues, the PSs and accounting officers, the senior government officials present, members of contracts committees who could be here, members of management boards, the heads of PDUs, all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. You don't have energy. We are usually meeting to discuss problems. Now we are here to talk about solutions. You should be happier. I am very pleased to be here to participate in this meeting of the Government of Uganda electronic government procurement system. As you are aware, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has been pursuing strategic reforms in public sector procurement in Uganda so that we can achieve better value for money, but also enable effective, transparent, and accountable use of public resources as a basis for economic transformation and improved service delivery. I use this one. You are not hearing? Okay. He is saying I use this one. While the reforms have realized some success, the existing largely semi-automated procurement system, which is predominantly paper-based, continues to face a number of challenges. And you know them better. Number one, real-time information for planning and decision-making. We also have inefficient processes and procedures. We have uncoordinated purchases across the government. We also have high process costs associated with the tendering, outdated market intelligence, error-prone contract management tracking, as well as inefficient audit function. And I saw the internal auditor general in the House. So to address some of the above challenges, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in collaboration with our sister institutions, particularly PPDA, NITAU, as well as the Ministry itself of ICT, embarked on implementing this automated system of public procurement. And we are seeing that a fully implemented EGP system is going to generate significant gains in efficiency, but most importantly in service delivery. And some of the gains, I'm sure, have been highlighted by the Accountant General. I can emphasize we are going to reduce the endemic delays in public sector procurement. We have already, I think, gained some leverage here. We are also minimizing avenues for corruption through reduced human interaction in procurement processes. This is what I've been singing since I came to government. This tendency of us just talking about corruption, how corruption is this, corruption in that, the practical way of dealing with it is by putting in place systems like EGP, which can be able to help us to track all the interactions and the transactions we make. I've used the analogy of the WhatsApp group, severally WhatsApp group. You know, there are very few social groupings which are accountable as a WhatsApp group. Everything you do on a group, all of the members will get to know. Even when you delete something, you post something and you realize it's not good for the group and you delete it, it will leave there a trail. And you will get to know that somebody typed and deleted. So we want a procurement system which also is able to help us with streamlining these transactions we do so that we reduce corruption. Also, EGP is helping us to facilitate real-time access to information on business opportunities available in various government entities. This is very good news for the private sector. It is helping us to minimize the cost of doing business by eliminating manual paper-based procurement transactions. It's helping us to increase bidder participation and promoting competition among suppliers, leading to better value for money in the public procurement. We are also enhancing transparency and accountability in the public procurement and the disposal process. Now, over the past 2 years, significant progress has been achieved in implementing this system, even with the disruptions we have had, like COVID-19 and so on and so forth. The Accountant General must have briefed you that currently 36 entities have enrolled in these 2 years, and the implementation team is enhancing the system by re-engineering business processes so that we can onboard emerging requirements occasioned by the amendments on our PPDA Act, as well as recommendations adopted from the various independent assessments of the system before it is rolled out. I remember when we were attending the annual meetings of the World Bank and IMF a year ago, not these ones we were in Marrakesh, but in Washington, the World Bank informed us that we were having now in Uganda the best public procurement system in the region. But we should be just fine-tuning a few things, and we communicated them to the team led by the Accountant General, and I'm sure they have adopted them in this re-engineering. Therefore, I take the opportunity to thank all of those who have been involved, particularly the accounting officers and your staff who have pioneered the system implementation in your respective entities. Your dedication and commitment, they are greatly appreciated. I also want to sincerely thank the team led by the Accountant General for the work they have done with their colleagues at PPDA, NITAU, and the Ministry of ICT and the National Guidance, as well as our development partners, the civil society, and all other stakeholders, private sector inclusive, who have fully supported us in implementing this reform, which is going to go a long way in improving our public resource management. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in collaboration with those partners I've talked about, we plan to roll out the EGP system to all of the remaining entities, 420 entities within the next 2 years. As you can see, it's an ambitious target, which we need, therefore, to maximize our effort to ensure that we can be able to achieve. Effective leadership, sponsorship, support, they are quite critical for ensuring that we roll out successfully this system. In particular, we have to provide strong leadership to the EGP project and ensure that the system is aligned with government objectives. Secondly, we need to allocate the necessary resources critical to the successful implementation of the system in our respective areas, but also ensure that competent staff are assigned and dedicated to this investment so that it can minimize disruption. We need also to overcome the resistance to change. You know, some people, they are used to certain ways. Papers, piles of papers. When you don't see them on your desk, you think you are not working. Please, the world has moved. We need to change the way we think so that we can effectively implement the system. Let us communicate more effectively and also address any emerging concerns within our entities. We need also positively to influence the organizational culture and mindset, which are necessary for the success of this system. Top management support for the system encourages acceptance and commitment to change. So we need to ensure that this is done. Then promoting awareness and also facilitating quicker decision-making processes during the implementation. I know in government we have this disease of memos, writing memos, and please, we are now implementing technology. As you write the memo, communicate effectively. Sometimes I tell people, I got a culture shock where you find someone is seated here, another one is there, but he has to first write a memo. Why don't you go there and communicate, agree on what should be done? I know in public service we cover risk, then you write to cover your risk. But when decisions have been taken and the action is done. Lastly, guaranteeing the longer-term sustainability of EGP system is going to only be achieved if we provide continued support and ensuring that the system evolves within the government requirements and delivers sustainable value over time. The PFM systems implemented by government, including this EGP, have so far demonstrated tremendous potential for the use of IT to further strengthen Uganda's public finance management system. We are going to support automation of government. This one I want to assure you, as Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, when it comes to automation, getting government digitized so that we can take away the old way of doing things. Yesterday I was talking to a group of younger people who have been helping in automating, for example, documents. This, the documents we have, these files we have, Manila files in the government, we need to do away with that as well. I know it will take time for us to change our mind. Even me, I was questioning my head. How will I ensure safety of certain things? I was asking them, these younger people, if you know my signature, I have to sign on certain things. I don't know that e-signature, how secure. Then cyber, people, you know, always are on the lookout there to take advantage. How do we ensure that they don't hack our systems? And so those are the things we need now to be addressing. But anyone who thinks that the status quo can stay, You are living in the past. Even the present, it's not about the future. The present now requires that we automate everything that we do. So the current developments in digital technology combined with the full rollout of this system of EGP will provide great opportunities for further improvement of efficiency, transparency, as well as accountability in government. The government of Uganda remains committed to this reform, as I've assured you, and the longer-term goal is to ensure that we improve service delivery, but most importantly, socio-economic transformation. I encourage all of you to actively support and participate in the implementation of this system. Give support to all of the stakeholders who are leading the way. The Accountant General's office is leading on our side. I've seen the PPDA is in the room with his board. I've seen the institutions which are procuring. I know some faces I associate with the procurement. Please, let's all of us support in whatever way we can do the effective rollout of this reform. I thank you very much.
I'll request us to give the PSST another round of applause. A very incisive presentation highlighting the benefits against the risks of automation in government procurement and other operations. Thank you very much, sir. Allow me to make special mention and welcome to the Deputy Clerk of the Parliament of Uganda, Mr. Henry Waiswa Yoweri, who is leading the team from Parliament. You're very welcome, sir. We have also been joined and are delighted to have the company of the Executive Director of one of the agencies we've just been told is doing excellently as far as EGP is concerned, the landlady or landlord herself. Please give a rousing applause to the Executive Director, KCCA, Mrs. Dorothy Chisaka. At this juncture, would like to receive the next speaker to address us on EGP progress to purpose, and that is none other than the EGP project manager, Miss Florence Nachiayune. Can I request us to welcome her with a round of applause? Together with her team, they have convened this meeting and invested tirelessly to see that it happens. Another round of applause will do her no harm.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all here. The PSST, the Accountant General, accounting officers, the Board of Directors, PPDA, all our distinguished guests, you're very welcome. Mine here briefly is to talk about the EGP system as far as we are. However, I would request, before I do that, if we could have reactions to the remarks of the ST, because I know that he has another engagement and I was prior informed about it. I'm requesting that we first get reactions to his remarks, reactions to the remarks of the Accountant General, and then we can proceed. I hope that is okay. Thank you very much. So can we please receive some reactions to the ST's remarks? Any reactions, any comments, any additions, subtractions, if any? We have the mic movers. Can we have the mic movers, please?
I think, Manager, I can react to my speech. I really don't think there is anything which requires any questions. I know usually wherever I speak, people say, will you give the money to this and that? I've already preempted that. Automation, the money will be provided. So, bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir.
We have a reaction here.
I thank you, PSST, and I thank you for sitting down to listen to this comment. Yesterday we had a very powerful engagement, I must say, convened by the IGG and together with the head of public service, where all heads of institutions attended, particularly permanent secretaries and EDs, accounting officers generally. And one of the concerns was that was the need for integrity in our systems. And the fact that the IG institution cannot fight corruption alone, we need to be part and parcel as accounting officers to what's going on. And one of the key things we emphasized was integrity. And when you talk about online transactions, I think one of the things they do for us is promote transparency, promote accountability, promote awareness. When my head of procurement, Doreen, who is here today, I'm constantly inquiring from her, have all the people that need to see this document seen it? Because I am attached to paper. Just seeing a screen and ticking the screen is like, are we doing the right thing? So there's need to be a lot of awareness, because automation is definitely going to help us deal with corruption ultimately. Everybody knowing what the procurement plan is for each directorate and for the whole institution, and it's published out there, is one way that we are going to join with the IG and all the accounting officers to fight corruption. So I want to thank you, PSST, for your strong call on automation, and we as an institution will definitely, this is the way to go, and we are going to go that way. Thank you.
Now that you are here, PSST, let me make this comment. First of all, I want to thank you for the commitment to extend the funding to this program, like you have done to others. You still have a lot to do, but we know you'll get there. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for the various reforms you have undertaken, and successfully so. Those of us who have been around for some time, we have seen it all. You know, the abolition of collection of non-tax revenue physically by cash, that was a fundamental change. You know, one entity had the plan to collect non-tax revenue of 800 million a year. When they said go and the bank it directly, we collected 1.2 billion in 1 quarter. So you could see the leakages which were there. That was very evident. That was a good reform. Those days we used to sit the whole day signing checks, physical checks. Some of them, we had the risk of forging our signatures. That one is no more. And this EGP, this e-procurement, yesterday, like my colleague here has said, we had a meeting of permanent secretaries and the IGG. Normally, when IGG has been talking about corruption-prone systems, procurement has been number 1. This time, we moved to number 2. But I know that was even an understatement. This e-procurement has really helped us a lot. We shall testify before you. It has eased the work of accounting officers, and it has helped us to track the procurement system online. So when they say it's now no longer the leading system where there is corruption, and yet you have just started, I know we shall achieve. So, Accountant General, you say this system was delayed by getting a consultant to do it. 2014, that is a long time ago. I urge accounting officers and people in government to get away from the syndrome of consultants. Consultants are destroying our capabilities. Use of consultants is not sustainable. We can do these things ourselves. And we shall save ourselves a lot of trouble. PSST during the lockdown of COVID-19, the first lockdown, I was almost locked up because people had forged the stickers that we are giving to people to move with vehicles. They had forged them from Nasa Road. But the second lockdown, we developed our own system with support of NITA-U, ICT, and other people. And we did that clearance online. It was so smooth. And we saved a lot of time and a lot of resources. And even like Madam Chisaka said, fighting corruption. Simple, reduce human contact. And it will be there. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, PSST, for honoring us with your presence. So I'm going to go straight away to my presentation. And I'm really talking about the EGP progress to purpose. Briefly, I just want to highlight what we have been able to do, what is running in the pipeline, because I know we have received questions on why haven't you enrolled new entities. I know the board of PPDA has made it very clear time and again that we need to close this, but I also know that the strategy of the Ministry of Finance had planned to have the rollout of the system concluded by next financial year. However, like the Accountant General says, there's work that we have had to do, there are preparations we've had to make, but I can give you the confidence that we actually are working and will definitely finish in the next 2 years. So just a brief on understanding EGP, what's the business case, what has changed, how have we used the system, and critical for us. So I know that we all know what e-government procurement is, so I'll probably not get into the detail of what it is. But some of the change issues or the resistance we do face on the use of this system is focused around misconceptions. There are a couple of misconceptions about the e-government procurement system. So I thought that I would just diversify them here just to make it very clear on what e-government procurement, what the system is itself. Some people think that they are just IT systems. The EGP system is not just an IT system. It is procurement enhanced by IT. So time and again, we have tried to get the procurement fraternity to own this up. But I think the first misconception was that this system was for IT people. Actually, what we would need is the procurement teams leading this. Then, of course, others think that they are here to displace them from their jobs. I always say systems are run by human beings. There's no one going to lose their job. What we're actually doing is making our jobs smarter. There's also a misconception that it is a file management system. No, it is not just a file management system. Yes, we do keep your records there, but you actually conduct the procurement process on there. There's been a discussion on corruption, and I just wanted to set the record straight. E-procurement will make corruption uncomfortable, but it cannot eliminate corruption. Why? Because corruption is a personal attribute. It goes down to our personalities. So what we have done on the system is to provide controls that make the corruption difficult. Of course, there are systems, and they cannot be 100%. Why? Because systems, it's garbage in, garbage out. So it's very important that we're mindful of what we put into the systems. Of course, the system will not do due diligence. There are entities that have gotten to us because they have auditors asking them about due diligence reports, and they're saying the EGP system doesn't provide that. The system cannot do due diligence. You need to go and do the due diligence and feed your reports into the system. Then, of course, most reported EGP benefits have resulted from stronger management and coordination facilitated by technology rather than facilitated by technology rather than technology per se. What does that exactly mean? We have a system, and that is the reason we call for this breakfast meeting. The system cannot move itself. The system cannot get you to use it. We need to have stronger management, leadership, sponsorship for us to have people actually using this system. So just as a reminder, I like to put up this business case. Just as a reminder, I looked at the PPDA does annual review reports, and in their annual review reports, they report on a couple of things. So I thought that I would just highlight the annual review report of 21-22 because that's the latest they have on their site. And they're giving us the performance when it comes to the key performance indicators. Without wasting time, you realize that for most of the variables, what we planned, we did not achieve. We underachieved, okay? I might not get into most of this detail because of time, but we're definitely going to share this with you. But again, when it comes to the procurement process delay, you realize we have a lot of inefficiencies. The law has indicative timelines, but then there are timelines that we're actually using. If you realize there's a discrepancy on the time that we are actually using for this. So I also compared 2020 and 2021. And I just picked some variables. If you look at the contracts subjected to open competition, contracts that are completed within contractual time, paid on time, implementation of the procurement plans, procurements implemented according to market price, the figures still do not give a lot of encouragement. So that is why we're saying that we do need to go e-government procurement. I will not go through the rationale. I believe the Accountant General and the PSST have really re-echoed this. I just need to move to the next slide. So the previous financial year saw us making a number of advancements. I know that there have been questions on what are we doing on security because this is a web-based application. We did quite a lot on system readiness, on security, change management, and sustainability. The Accountant General talked about the business process reengineering that we had to do. What informed this? This was informed by the recommendations we got from the Multilateral Development Bank assessment. Again, for the 2-3 years we have used this system, the users have given us feedback. So I think it is the head PD of Parliament who said, when do we have most of these issues ironed out? Now, the issues we've been able to iron out with the current system. The issues we can only iron out with a re-engineered system. However, the goodwill to have all of this sorted for seamless use for the users is available. So arising from the business process re-engineering, we are going to enhance the system. I want to draw a line there. There's a misconception that we are bringing a new system. We are not bringing a new system. We are enhancing the currently existing system. If you ask the Accountant General, probably 10 years ago, they were writing checks manually. Now they are not doing that. What brings that, what causes that? It is the enhancement of the system. We want to, even when we have received an upload from the development partners on the system we have, we need to still further enhance it to make it better. So what we did was, of course, our system looks at the end-to-end for those that might not know. And that's on the PDE touch point. For the provider touch point, we also have different touch points for them, right from the time they see the bid adverts to submitting their bids, to viewing bids, opening them where they need clarifications, and now the National IT Authority is concluding that digital signature. We intend to integrate with a digital signature. So each system user is going to have a digital signature. Anytime you need to append a signature on the system, you'll have to sign digitally. That is the only way we are going to move paperless. The ST has been talking about paper. Until we have the digital signature, we cannot go paperless, but that is also something we are doing within this re-engineering period. For the integrations, I thought I would give an update. The ones you see the other side are completed. I think there was a question from the Undersecretary of Ministry of Water on whether the EGP system is integrated with the IFMS system. Yes, it is integrated with the IFMS system. And in fact, the generation of the purchase orders on the EGP or on the happens on the IFMS system. EGP simply calls for the purchase order. So the ones you see the other side, that's the business registration system, the e-tax, the IFMS, the payment gateway, and the SMS gateway. We've finished these integrations. We are now closing on the ones you see in amber. Some of these are new and they've come out of the re-engineering. We have to integrate with the digital signature, that's what is called PKI. We are integrating with the NSSF compliance system. We have the National Identification Registration Authority system, that is for the director information. But for the beneficial ownership, of course, we're going to pick it through the BRS. We have to integrate with the IFRIS for invoicing. We're going to integrate with ELOGRAVE and IRAS because we have noticed most of the providers give us expired trading licenses. So we want to also automate that process. And of course, we are integrating with the Uganda Bankers Association. We would like to automate the bid security verification. So what have we done? We've done quite a lot of work in terms of system readiness. As you'll notice, we have done online bidder registration. The system is deployed in 36 entities. Yes, we have provisional operation acceptance. The guidelines were developed and we concluded on the third party. But also key on the system readiness is that we have onboarded the oversight bodies, that is PPDA and OAG. The next lot of enrollment we want to onboard the IG so that they do the monitoring on the system also. System security, we've done a lot ranging from having the disaster recovery site up and running, continuously monitoring the system. We're now moving into security awareness. We have reconfigured our password policies on the system. And of course, we continuously monitor it. There are resources that have actually been deployed specifically to monitor the security of this system. Change management, we do a lot of training. For the providers, every Friday we're training them. We are also doing physical trainings. For the different roles, we've developed training materials, campaign content, where our social medias are flying up. So we are trying to create as much awareness as possible. But the Accountant General talked about sustainability and the reason why we needed to go local solution. And I think that is what the KCCA was saying. We had to have our sustainability plan in place. The local solution, the purpose we have here, why we went that we was mainly for sustainability purposes. So the vendor is supposed to hand over the source code to us with the related documentation, and that is why the Ministry of ICT is registering the intellectual property rights, because that is property for government of Uganda. How does that help us? Given that the knowledge transfer plan has also been developed and approved, the vendor is supposed to commence knowledge transfer to the government of Uganda teams, so that at a given time, government can choose to either cut off the vendor completely or maintain minimal contact. That way we'll attain the sustainability. And of course, we successfully conducted the Multilateral Development Bank assessment. The impact of this MDB is that you all know the development partners had stopped us from doing their procurements on the EGP until we are assessed. The assessment was done, we passed the assessment, they gave us some extra requirements. So through the re-engineering, we are going to also put these requirements onto the system. And I know that some of the projects they've cleared us to start with are the ones that are on the Greater Kampala metropolitan area. So I thought I'll just give you some statistics for you to find out where we're at in terms of numbers. If you notice the first year, that was 2020-21, we had about 428 registered providers on the system. The reason this number was very low is because we were registering on the EGP portal and registering on the PPDA portal. So the management at PPDA and the management at Accountant General's office sat together and agreed that why don't we have one point of registration? And the moment they did that, you can see that the numbers flew from 428 to almost 6,000. And right now we have almost 7,000 providers registered on the system. How does it help the procurement fraternity? Time and again, it has been an issue on even getting the 3 providers required for procurement. And I think the regulator has put that in his annual review reports. Right now, what happens is that the moment the tender adverts get onto the system, depending on the category that the providers registered for, they get notifications. So it's no longer an issue of them not having equal access to information. It is an issue of them assessing themselves and establishing, are we competent to actually take on this tender opportunity? However, of course, we've had some challenges with the providers on this. That's the limited awareness. I've talked about the attachment of expired trading licenses, numerous payments. There is a discussion between the Procurement Policy Management Department and the Public Procurement Authority. The providers are saying the payments are numerous. If they're paying for registration of providers on the EGP portal, the entities are also asking them to pay for pre-qualification. Why don't we make sure that the moment a provider is registered on the portal, they're actually pre-qualified and can be used by any government entity to do business? So that is a discussion that is still on the table, and we're hoping that our bosses can be able to clear and give us guidance on that. But there's also another elephant on the table, the bidding fees. They're asking, the reason we were paying these bidding fees is because you were printing documents, the bidding documents. Now, it is electronic. Why are we paying the bidding fees? And I appreciate, yes, we need the NTR, but maybe now we need to think of renaming. Because when you say bidding fees, it doesn't make sense when the documents are coming through electronically. So again, these are areas where we need the policy people and the regulator to come in and guide us so that we can close on this as part of the enhancement. Of course, they are requesting for support to get closer. We have the service desk team at the Crescent Towers where we sit. We have the Treasury Service Center at Ministry of Finance. We have a support team at PPDA, but we are not enough. If I looked at the total number of people in this support loop between the three entities, maybe we're around 50 or 60. But how can 50 or 60 people support over 7,000 providers? So we are saying, and they're asking, can you take the support closer? So maybe what now we need to, the management team at MOFPED and the regulator need to agree on is, do we decentralize this? If we decentralize it, to who? Should it be to the private entities? Do we get memorandums of understanding with the universities? We need to be able to take closer to support to them. Because right now, time and again, the people who walk through our entity, our unit, you find providers from Kapchora, from Kotido, from Arua. It is the reason we ask you to register digitally is because we are trying to communicate a message. We are supposed to go electronic. So how about we also take the support closer? So that is also another area of discussion that we need from the management. Of course, for the side of NITAU, the cost of the internet. Now, of course, some of these have to be taken on by our partners in the implementation. The cost of the internet seems to be an issue. Of course, the slow learning curve. They do have a slow learning curve because our providers are not exactly literate. Most of them are semi-literate, but also their capacity, IT capacity, is still lacks a bit. However, I'm not so worried about that because I know that providers always find a way to get business done. However, we just need to find a way to enhance it. And that is what they're actually asking us for. They're saying that, can you increase awareness so that they grow trust in the system? We train them, we take services nearer, provide a feedback loop, and for them, they will be able to get on board. In terms of contracts, I provided an analysis of contracts that are generated on the system from the time we started up to the end of the last financial year. You'll realize that we break the contracts into three. We have micro contracts, we have macro contracts, we have the call-off orders. If you look at those numbers, they keep escalating. Yes, however, I still think we can do better. Why would I say that? If you look at the numbers that we had at the end of 22-23, look at the numbers we have currently, okay? That is micro, macro, and the call-off orders. On the contrary, we have 2,962 requisitions raised on the IFMS. So time and again, we are pushing the entities, why aren't you using the system? They're saying we don't have budgets. We are paying domestic arrears. There are 1,001 reasons. But even in the light of that, why are you raising requisitions on the IFMS? So I think what we agreed with the management is that we are going to, the vendor is working out the solution. We want to block raising of requisitions on the IFMS for all entities that are enrolled. Because if we don't do that, ladies and gentlemen, then we have parallel systems running. We cannot achieve the business case when we are two-sided. I always tell people that for the Christians, even the Bible says you're either hot or cold, or God will spit you out of his mouth. And for us, spitting out of the mouth this time would mean failure. We need to decide to move to one platform. But I know that that also has to be enhanced by an internal control. So when you look at the procurement by method, again, I highlighted the methods that were most commonly used over the last 3 years of this system. And you can also realize that the numbers have gone up, but they can be better. They can be better. However, look at what we have between Q1 and Q2. The numbers, I'm a bit worried about where we are going to be by the end of the financial year if we are not able to move these numbers up. So it's very important that from the point of accounting officers, of contracts committees, of heads of PDU, of board of directors, you enforce the use of the system at the entity. If these numbers don't go up, we cannot achieve the business case for this reform. We did have an inspection. The procurement policy team with PPDA and the project management unit do inspections to the entities that are not doing well. And before I get to this, please allow me, because my boss asked me to recognize the best performing entities. And I'm going to recognize them in their order of performance. That is the 5 performing entities. Our best performing entity is Parliament of Uganda. I request the Parliament team to please stand up. These guys have made us so proud. Their numbers are skyrocketing. Their numbers are skyrocketing. I want to appreciate the Parliament of Uganda. The second performer we have on the system is the Kampala Capital City Authority. KCCA team, please stand up for recognition. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for pushing the agenda. Our third performing entity is the Directorate of Public Prosecution. It amazes me, this department is run by one person, but the pressure this lady exerts is interesting. This one is not because I'm a staff of the ministry, but I want to recognize a fourth performing entity is the Ministry of Finance. I want to thank the head PDU. She has been, Madam Amina, please stand up for recognition. That is an iron lady. We have, of the 3 local governments we have one that has performed so well. That is Mukono District Local Government. So yes, we did inspection, and from the inspection, we realized that we had the bigger number of issues were user issues. So that is why we think we need to continuously train, we need to sensitize. Of course, there were issues that were not catered for in the system, so we've moved them to the re-engineering. And then we also have issues that are not really EGP, things like budget cuts, delayed payments. I'm sure those are some of the issues that will come to the panel. So the 7 issues that were pushed to the business process re-engineering were the 7, and these have been picked up for use. Talking of training, ladies and gentlemen, please, I would like to reiterate, we have prepared training for accounting officers, contracts committee members, and internal auditors from next week, Monday to Friday. The letters did come to you. I am requesting that you ensure that you have your members in there. Why? You're probably asking, why these 3? These 3 are the main pushers. Yes, PDU has been trained and PDU is good, but PDU's role can only go higher when these people cross over. So we have the internal auditors on Monday. We have 14th to 15th, we have some entities that should have specifically the accounting officers and the contracts committee. And then on 16th to 17th, we'll have another category. We are going to share this on email. We have sent the letters. We are going to call. Please ensure that you're in, because when you are not trained on how to use the system, you frustrate those that know how to use the system. Critical activities for us, the accountant general in the re-engineering are not necessarily in this, and sensitization, training and capacity building, and July 1, 24-25, we intend to be live with this system. Now, being live with this system, again, there's been questions on then, when do you finish? So this year we will not roll out because we are trying to finish the enhanced system. But beginning of next financial year, we have 250 entities to do in a year, and the following year we should close with 155. If you look at the numbers, you're wondering why is it that there are less central government than local government. So there are two dynamics that are playing in here. For the central government, we have entities that are self-accounting. With the piloting, we have struggled a bit with the self-accounting entities. Why? Because they have to integrate their financial management systems with the EGP system. It's not like the rest of us who use IFMS. It was a straight through. So we figured that let's first get the low-hanging fruits, move everyone who has the straight through process. As and when they are doing that in 24-25, we'll work with the other self-accounting entities to ensure that they integrate their financial management systems with the EGP system, and then we can be done by 25-26. We've already done 36. The total of entities is 441. Critical for us as I conclude, I know that the PSST has already talked about this. We need to find the courage to move on. I always tell people, life is about change. And when you don't change, change changes you. We can't be like this person who is stuck in a bad relationship and is still crying about it. We need to move. We can only know the benefits of EGP when we move. We cannot know if we don't move. Secondly, commitment at a high level. I want to thank the project steering committee. I have members of the project steering committee, and I will not ask my bosses to stand up, but I want to thank you so much. These people have led from the front. I have the EDPPDA, I have the Accountant General, I have the Program Coordinator, RIP, we have Dr. Fixon Okonye, we have the PSST, we have Ministry of ICT, that's the PS who's represented. They are here because they're giving strategic direction to this implementation. Now the rest of us need to support the leadership in the direction that we are having. And that is why we call for this breakfast meeting, because the people, the category we invited is very critical. We have typical scenarios where the head PDU and the PDU are pushing for the system, but the accounting officers are stifling it. Now you need to understand these people. You cannot fight your boss. So we need the accounting officers, the contracts committee, the PDU to speak one language for us to be able to move in this agenda. Of course, confidence in the system. This is an innovation. And for me, the reason, even with the couple of issues we might have, which we are working on, I am still proud because very few systems that are innovated can actually be moving in space we are moving. But we are putting in the best we can. So we also need that you execute some kind of confidence that will enable us move forward. Of course, we need to challenge the status quo. When we had just come up with a system, it seemed like it won't work. Yes, it started in 2014. Everyone is saying, okay, this has been a song every year. It might never end. We're actually going to end, and we're going to end well. Consultations. Let us consult. I'm just requesting that we can be able to talk to each other. I mean, when there's something you realize that we need to make better and you don't talk about it and choose to talk about it in the corner, you're not helping anybody. This is a reform that has come to stay. This is a reform that we all need to follow through. So we need to work together, consult, talk to each other if we are going to make it better. That goes down to communication, that goes down to teamwork. And lastly, trust. We need to trust the system. We need to trust the process. We need to trust our capability to be able to implement this. And the reason I say that, if you notice, most of our colleagues in East African region, even South Africa, the moment Uganda crossed and said we're doing a homegrown solution, they've all decided now to cross, because we set the momentum that this is actually possible to have a homegrown solution of this magnitude. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for listening to me.
For that very comprehensive and impassioned presentation. I think that the project manager deserves a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Ms. Florence Nache-Yune. She's given us quite a bit of meat to chew on. And just to reiterate that you're gathered here because you are critical stakeholders, you interface with procurement at different levels daily. And this is a good moment to open up this discussion. I already have up front 2 members of the panel. That is the Accountant General, Mr. Lawrence Semakula. Can we give him a round of applause one more time? And the immediate preceding speaker, Ms. Florence Nachiayune, the EGP project manager, give another round of applause. May I now request the ED PPDA, Mr. Benson Turami, to kindly move and join the panelists as we open this discussion to the floor. Raise your hand if you have a question, a comment relating to the previous presentations, or indeed this conversation in general. However, as Mr. Turami gets comfortable, to moderate this conversation, we're going to have the Acting Commissioner, Project Policy Management Department, Dr. Isaac Chaligonza. I'll request him to also move to the front as we give him a round of applause. And as soon as he gets comfortable, I'll be handing over the floor to him so that he can moderate this discussion. Your questions are welcome, comments, and it will be very helpful as you ask to target your question to any one of the panelists. Over to you, Dr. Chaligonza.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. The PSST in absentia, the Accountant General, Internal Auditor General, PSCs present, accounting officers, EDs, senior government officers present, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to the Q&A session. And as already guided, we have a panel of 3 members. We want to spare time and be specific. We shall have ushers amidst us in the various corners who will pick up a question from whoever raises their hand up. We have a team of rapporteurs consolidating the questions, and as already guided, we want the questions targeted in respect to the presentations that have been made. We don't have much time though, but given the appetite demonstrated at the beginning in the session of expectations, I know you have a number of them. You have a number of questions, especially now that we have had presentations starting right from the PSST, the Accountant General, and the manager EGP project. I don't want to take much of our time. I am Isaac Chaligonza, Acting Commissioner, PPMD, as already introduced. I want to now declare the Q&A session open, and the methodology is already explained. You raise up your hand, you are picked upon, raise it, it is recorded, and when and after consolidation, it will be brought to me and will allocate it to the respective officer to respond to it. That's how we want to move, and this session should take us about 30 minutes. I thank you.
Do we have any takers? First question, first comment. Rise to your feet, introduce yourself, your entity, and fire away.
Good morning, members. I'm Julius Biarohanga, Procurement Officer, Ministry of Internal Affairs, representing the head PDU now. Thank you, all the presenters. My question is about contract management. It is targeted to Madam Project Manager, Florence Chaine. I would like to know when this is going to be complete, because it's a bit challenging when it comes to contract management. You do procurement online. When it comes to contract management, you are stuck in the game. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very precise question.
Another hand up behind you.
Thank you, moderator. Engineer John Paul Simami, Uganda National Bureau of Standards. I just wanted to get maybe clarification from, again, the project manager, issues to do with the alignment of the EGP with the PPDA Act and also the regulations and guidelines. A case in point I wanted clarification on is it is the accounting officer, if I'm not, what I've read in the law, the PPD Act and also maybe guidelines, but I stand to be corrected, is that it is the accounting officer to publish the BEB. But the EGP provides for PDU also to do the same. When I read through the Act, it is the accounting officer, the EGP guidelines, the accounting officer, and so I wonder where some of these come from. So I wonder whether it is properly aligned to the Act so that there is no violation of the same. Because there could be instances where there could be maybe a procurement that has not yet been agreed upon, maybe it's under administrative review, etc. And the system being a system, things could be filled in and the PDU goes ahead and publishes without the knowledge of the accounting officer, and it causes conflict. So I think that area needs to be properly aligned. Thank you.
I'm assuming that is well captured and will be brought to the attention of the manager, EGP.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Doreen Akatwera Tiveronda. I'm the head PDU KCCA. I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody, the project sponsors, the PPDA, the Accountant General's Office, and our commissioner and our project manager for the support. As you've heard, KCCA is among those who are struggling to be the best. EGP is a good thing and is a reform that we must go with. Despite the challenges, we really appreciate, because when we call upon you, you come through to help. So my only request today will be like, when will we have the procurement process be completed on the system, including clearance of contracts by external stakeholders like the Office of Attorney General? Then also, when will we have the system stabilized? Because I've gotten feedback from my user departments, the system is very slow of recent. I don't know whether it is because of bringing more users on board, but the cry currently in KCCA is that they are willing to use EGP, but the system is slowing down the processes. Otherwise, we appreciate, because we are able to see progress of procurement. It has improved visibility. It has improved like complaints. In fact, people no longer complain because they will be knowing where their procurements, at what stage they are, and follow-up is easy. I request fellow practitioners to embrace this and we move our system forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. KCCA makes it 3. With your indulgence, we can take 5, have responses, and another set of 5.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yusuf Mukoka. I'm a Principal Assistant Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. My issue goes to the Accountant General. The law requires the accounting officer to confirm availability of funds before a procurement is initiated on Form 5. But in most cases, we have funds in the budget, they are approved in the budget, but in most cases, the funds are released late. Yet these procurements have timelines we have to accomplish. We end up maybe initiating procurements in quarter 4, in quarter 3, when maybe funds are released, yet the procurements have to be accomplished within the financial year. When we do it, at one time we were advised that we can initiate procurements for as long as funds are within the budget. But again, when we did, auditors are raising a red flag that we are committing government when we don't have resources. Then the other issue is the issue of multi-year procurements. You may find that maybe we have projects which run from one year to the other. It can be a 3-4 year project, but funds are released on an annual basis. You initiate a procurement, but again, you may fail to get resources in the next financial year. We need your advice on that. Thank you.
Thank you. An MC, we now have 6 of them. I want to request, we so far have 6 of them. I want to request whoever is documenting them to bring them forward so that we can allocate them to the respective respondents, and then we can provide the response to the first set so far. I guided that, yes, I'm guided that the officers, the panelists were able to capture the issues you raised. I know one is directed to, 2 are directed to the Accountant General, and I want to start with the Accountant General responding to the 2 that have been raised by a participant from the Ministry of Tourism. Sir, you are welcome to respond.
Okay, I hope it's working. You can hear me while I stand there. So thank you very much, moderator, and thank you, the officer from Ministry of Tourism. Now, I think the PSST had in some other fora had clarified on this issue, and it keeps coming up. And of course, also as we came in, there was one accounting officer who was also telling me that on the EGP, it seems the EGP works without committing the funds like on the IFMI side. Now, we always advise that you begin a procurement process, but when it comes to the end, towards the signing of the contract, then you are assured of the funding at that point. So this is something I think we are also going to guide on, given the concerns of many people that since I came in, they have been asking that. So we are going to guide on that. In the past, I think it is only just after COVID that we got a bit of liquidity challenges. But in the past, we always used to assure you and release all the monies that were appropriated to you in most of the cases, apart from very few cases. So we hope that we shall get back to those levels and be able to release the monies that are appropriated to you. So you begin a procurement process, and then we avail you the funding later. On the issue of multi-year procurements, that is also something that has been coming up. And there is a section in the law which talks about multi-year procurements. And of course, I also know that maybe we at the ministry have also been doing a mistake in that once there is a multi-year commitment, this multi-year commitment should take the first call in the coming financial year. Of course, it's not only the ministry, even you at the votes, because once we give you a ceiling, you should know that there are multi-year commitments that I have and I carried forward. So they should take the first call. And that's what we are trying actually now to do and emphasize in the budget call circulars, that for those who have multi-year commitments, these multi-year commitments should take the first call on the annual budgets. But also before the EGP manager comes in, I see everybody asking that, you know, we have a lot of issues, when are they coming on board? I need to emphasize that we are saying that let's get all these queries from all the users and the stakeholders. As you know, we have got from the stakeholders, the multilateral development partners who have done the assessment, given us their concerns. We have got concerns that are arising out of the law, the law that was amended in 2021. We have got concerns from you, the users. We have got concerns from the civil society, especially regarding the service providers to government. So we are combining all that and doing what we call a business process reengineering. We have issues that also we think that even though they're in the law, but we should reverse them or re-engineer them. So if, in that case, we have been having a discussion with PPDA. If there is something that is fundamental in the law and we need it to work on EGP, we shall amend the law. We shall amend the law, but for us, as far as we know, is that we have now re-engineered this process. It's aligned to the law, and very soon we are going to issue the regulations. I'm hoping that before the end of this year, not the financial year, calendar year, we should have issued the new regulations, and these are aligned to the processes that we are handling under EGP. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Accountant General. The next set of questions we are targeting the manager, EGP, and these are from practitioners, one from KCCA and another from Julius, about system stability and when the system can have all the processes run, including contract clearance, which are directed to Florence. Can we have response to those areas?
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and thank you for the questions. So the first question was on contract management. When do we have this complete? We have done the biggest part of it, but we have some aspects that are not yet complete, specifically contract renewal, which the vendor is working on closing. And then we have the staged payments that are also in their final stages. But like the Accountant General said, some of these issues, yes, we are ironing them out in the current environment, but we have prepared for them to function better in the enhanced system that we are commencing on development. But maybe as I give confirmation on this, just to let you know the EGP vendor is in the house. Please stand up for recognition. That is the Honeycomb team. So I know for a fact that they are pushing on all fronts to be able to close on these areas. However, there are also areas, the new additions we have put into contract management arising from the business process reengineering that you're going to see within the enhanced system that the Accountant General has committed we will have out before the end of this financial year. There was another question on aligning of the system to the regulations. Key for us on the business process reengineering, we know that the law was amended, but we'd had to wait for the regulations to come out. We could not quickly amend to the new regulations without them being finalized. So yes, we did wait until I think about a week or two ago when they were at the point of being gazetted that we were able to access this. So the enhanced system will definitely be aligned to the new regulations. But specifically to the question of the accounting officer having the responsibility to publish the BEB. So again, some of these things we did out of automation, reducing the inefficiency, because sometimes there's a lot that is clogged at the accounting officers' levels. However, we definitely did provide for the accounting officer to be able to have visibility over this before they are published. So some of these things we are doing as a means of reducing the inefficiency or the points of failure we are creating at given levels. However, we do encourage and we do provide for the accounting officers to have to be able to have visibility over what is being done. When we will have the procurement system completed, or the system specifically the Solicitor General, we do have the Solicitor General's module on the current system. However, last financial year, we had a meeting where we had the Attorney General and the Solicitor General. The Attorney General had some reservations on the controls that we had put and had another set of new requirements he needed in there to be able to streamline but also protect the officers against anything that could come out of misuse of their role. So we have factored in all their requirements into the enhanced system. We can tell you for a fact that as soon as this enhanced system is out, they're going to commence using this because they will definitely be part of the testers. We need them to test and approve that they can now start. On the other hand, they do have the goodwill. The Attorney General has the goodwill and has given us his word that as soon as we have this on, Solicitor General should be able to start to do clearance on the system. Regarding the system stability, yes, we have had issues on this now. And most, the issues have really been focused around the resources of the infrastructure. We work hand in hand with the National IT Authority, which does the system hosting. So what we realize is that what we had projected, the sizes of the databases had kept increasing and increasing. So the technical teams have been able to sit down because we identified where the issue was. And the National IT Authority has actually committed. They are continuously giving us more resources, more hosting resources, as and when the database is being is increasing. However, we have also made the monitoring a daily duty for us because someone needs, we've ensured that someone is monitoring to make sure that we don't get to a point when the infrastructure resources have been used up to create that stampede. So it's something that we have worked on. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence, for that response. I have received another set of 5 of them. This is not to deny the participants the opportunity to speak out theirs, but let's use this time to submit these 5, and they are all targeted to the manager. Number 1, the system takes long to provide the 2-factor code for login. The system takes long to provide the 2-factor code for login. Number 2, the internet is too slow. That matches, I think, the stability we got in the first set. Number 3, lack of funds for maintenance and servicing of computers. Number 4 is failure by the system to auto-populate bidder's response, those are documents, up to contract management. Number 5, the need for support to the entity by providing laptops for flexible service delivery. And these are from Mr. Gorare Fred, head PDU, Jinja District Local Government, which is one of the local governments on the system currently. I want to to request then that Florence, you respond to this set of questions for the benefit of the members.
Thank you very much for the questions. Regarding the two-factor code, I know that we had an issue last week on SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. We had an SMTP issue where the codes were coming in a little bit later. But like I said, some of these services, we don't necessarily have them at our point. We are relying on another party. This is something we are working on with the National IT Authority because this is the service we consume from the National IT Authority. It should get better because I know that the teams have been putting a lot into trying to make it better. However, as and when you experience those issues, I'm requesting that you please reach out to us and let us know. But I know that the NITAU team and the EGP technical team have been working on making sure the SMTP services are better. The system speed, I think I've spoken to that also. The lack of funds for maintenance of computers, I think I will transfer this to the Accountant General. That one would be his. And I think they need to populate laptops. I know that under the Resource Enhancement Accountability Program, we have provided at least 2 desktops to the entities that are enrolled on the system. And that is because many of these other reforms that still go there provide equipment. So also the question is, yes, as we provide the number, there are challenges on the maintenance. But again, I'm going to leave that for the Accountant General to address. The failure of the system to auto-populate bidder comments up to the end. We have on the enhanced system actually provided for requests for clarification for throughout the full process of the bidding process. However, I want to believe that for most of their comments, for example, the RFCs, at least now providers are able to send RFCs directly to the entity. The challenge actually we had was the entity sending requests for clarifications to the providers. But probably I'll engage the Ginger staff to get more insight onto this.
I thought the project manager would answer, but let me answer those. Now, the issue of equipment, yes, we are having a discussion at the ministry, and I think we will be able to see guidance soon. Because we know that we have so many systems at vote level. We have the PBS, the IFMIS, the HCM, now EGP, and so on and so forth. So we have requested, actually Commissioner MIS is not here, we have requested the MIS to do a profiling of each and every vote. And so that we can then see how best, because even this, sometimes you get complaints, but it is really the local area network that has issues. So we are doing a profiling, and based on that profiling, we should be able then to some resource. The PSST has committed that anything to do with automation, it will support. Now, in the past, we have been giving funds. Those of you who are on IFMIS and so on, we give what we call IFMIS recurrent costs. Now we are going, I hope, to call it maybe systems recurrent costs to be able to incorporate all the systems that we run. But the problem sometimes is that when we allocate that, we don't use it for the right purpose. So that is also something that we should think about. But otherwise, we are committed to ensure that we provide you with the tools. It is useless to say that you are an EGP site when you don't even have a working computer. So those, we are really working on that, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. I think in the interim that clarifies. Now we can get another set of questions. I see the accounting officer. Yes, we want to quickly get another set of questions and we can respond to them.
Thank you very much. And for the presentations and the reforms, mine is a quick one, and where the Accountant General just left off. You see, at times we tend, when the PSST, and I wasn't happy when he left, because some of these things would have come up and some are not your side, at the other side, the budget side. You see, when he says for automation I will provide, I think he's talking of providing to the EGP team at that level. How about in the entities? Is it also going to be provided, that funding? What happens? Some of the things where we need to spend are some of those that later on are called either consumptive or are not prioritized. Because providing a laptop or a computer, I will still need to maintain it, I will need to service it, I will need the internet. But when you are not having the funds to do that, then the entire chain is broken, because a chain is as strong as its weakest what? Link. Now, when he talks of providing money for automation, funds for automation, please, let's provide it also in the entities. That is what I would like to mention there. For now, that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much for that contribution. In the interest of time and with the indulgence of the moderator, we will have perhaps not more than another 3 to 4 questions, please.
Thank you, the presenters. My name is Milton Diamova from Ministry of Education and Sports. My question is, to be a system, it should really be robust. When we are trying to get the contract from the system, Solicitor General, for approval, it disturbs my mind. When you pick, you print, you take Solicitor General, they call you, show us exactly where you printed from. Then you highlight and somebody chooses either to clear or not. My question is, how far has we gone with talking to people? I know that it is seamlessly integrating with other systems, but it seems people are not integrating with others. If I am to print minutes to take to PPDA, why can't we talk together as a system so that we can have a robust system? Secondly, the system, when it is the beginning, it does not encumber money. I don't know, in order to spend time doing nothing, is it relevant at that time to incorporate the finance system? Why can't we incorporate it later when we are going to pay? I thank you.
Thank you, Milton. Yes, come up, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you so much. My name is Johnson Msinguzu from Ministry of Works. Mine is in respect to the procurement file on the system. Is there a way how the system at the end of the transaction can summarize and incorporate in one folder the procurement file, including all the transaction from its initiation up to the end? Because if you try to look at the procurement process, it means you have to first navigate into initiation, planning, initiation, evaluation, contract. Can we have at the end a consolidated procurement files? Even I had an experience where auditors are trying to navigate through and they cannot. They're saying, where is a procurement file? So I think it would be good to have that transaction summarized in one place. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I'm called Stephen Mugenyi. I'm an Assistant Commissioner Planning at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, but I've come here as Chairperson of Contracts Committee. Now, my question is on the link between the budget and the EGP. I saw, maybe didn't see very well, but I didn't see plans to integrate PBS with EGP. I saw some other system. Yet, when you look at budgeting or PBS, it is at the heart of each and everything. There appears to be a disjoint between the procurement plans at the budgeting process and the final procurement plans through EGP. And yet we know it very well that a budget is an important public policy instrument in operationalizing policies. So you'll find that, and because of that disjoint, maybe people are not very much keen during the budgeting process to put a lot of thoughts in coming up with the procurement plans in the PBS. And yet PBS provides a basis for the detailed budgets or budgeting and cash flows. So I would like to see plans that will integrate the budgeting process, the figures there. I know you'll tell me that, okay, there is the IFMIS is directly integrated, they don't know with the e-government procurement, but IFMIS, those are just figures. They're just figures, they are not plans of what's supposed to be procured, they don't know. So I want to see how quickly we are going to have PBS integrated into all this system. Thank you.
Yes, can we have one from Duncan?
Thank you. My name is Mike Duncan Tumwichirizi from the Ministry of Local Government. Mine are 3 issues. Number 1, Florence, you slightly talked about the auto-preparation. The auto-preparation, I think the other person, what he wanted to mean was that the procurement, the moment you start a requisition, can this matter be auto-created all throughout the process up to LPO? Because entering LPO is very clerical and manual. Why can't this LPO pick the information from the requisition straight and have it in the LPO? Because you also appreciate that as you are making the LPO, any slight mistake, you go back to 0. It does not save. The system does not save. So you find you have 30 items of stationery. You've entered up to the 30th. When you say create, it does not create, but it deletes everything. You go back to 0. So you need to make that area user-friendly. Then number 2 is phased payments. You are talking of disabling requisition stage at IFMS. But it is helping us to do the phased payment, which you have not yet catered for on the EGP. So as you plan to do that, please first address it on the other side. Then number 3, and the final one, is actually the item master. The item master, I don't know what it is trying to heal, where the problem is. With it, you need to maybe tell us what it is supposed to heal, because to begin with, it is not exhaustive. The users have their own names, what they know the items as they are on the market, but then they have the technical names that you may have picked from wherever that fail to be in line with what we have requested. At the end of the day, we are trying to improvise as we are making an LPO. You are looking for a pen, somebody wants a compo, you look for a compo, it is not there, but you settle for a BIC. So at the end of the day, the delivery and the request are not tallying. The storekeeper gets a challenge of receiving things that were not actually requested for. They are not in line with what was requested for. So maybe the item master should be enforced at the stage of requisitioning, so that the person requisitioning is actually knowing that what he's asking for is not there, it will not be found, and then we are able to be on the same page. I thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. I think that should be the last for this phase.
I have a hand here from Jinja District Local Government, Mukono, I think. Will you indulge us to take it?
Okay.
Thank you.
Since they had raised, maybe it is a follow-up to the earlier one.
Thank you very much. Take a James, Contract Committee, Mukono District. First of all, I appreciate the ranking for appraising the best performers. And as Mukono is the 5th, but being a rural district, if we appraise the principle of equity, I think Mukono have been appraised more than the urban, who are more sophisticated with everything. Secondly, the system is new. When you're still analog, we used to have many competitors, bidders, to provide the services. But with this system, we are reducing, which might compromise the services we get from providers. Do you have a desk pro bono, which will help our service providers to be educated, such that you can bring other competitors on the board to compete favorably, so that you can get the best service providers to give us the best services to improve service delivery? I beg to move.
Thank you. I want to shift the mic to the panel, and I want to start with the Accountant General on some areas that have been raised, for example, by Mr. Mugunga.
I thought Mr. Mugunga had already said that the discussion is that when the funding for automation should not only be at the center, but also decentralized. And we have tried to. If you see, Mugunga, you know that if misrecurrent costs, but now we are going to call it systems, maybe something, and create that item that should be across wherever we have these systems. Now, I need to make a general observation. Because when I hear my procurement practitioners bringing questions, I hope that they were part of the business process reengineering. Because the questions you are raising are the questions you are saying we must address in that enhanced solution that we are building. And that enhanced solution is based on that business process reengineering documentation that we have. I hope I'm right. So when I hear the questions, I get a bit scared. Know me, I'm not very much on operations sometimes, but I was hoping that those things were done there. But nonetheless, let me provide you some clarification. On the issue of item master. Item master, we want to have a standardized list of items, if I can simplify it to that level. And of course, with that, it will also go with the standard price, that if for us we are doing a projection, a ream of paper in the Ministry of Finance should not be different from a ream of paper in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And this is what is happening, because you find, when you go in the system now, you'll find that finance will procure a ream of paper at 12,000 shillings. Internal Affairs will procure it at 15,000 shillings. Education will procure it at 8,000 shillings. It is the same ream of paper, even at times from the same supplier, but different prices. So for us, what we are working on is to have a standardized list of items, and from there we shall then have a standardized price for those items. I hope I'm clear on that. So I don't know why somebody is saying that he doesn't understand and is a senior procurement. So it's a bit of a challenge. So Commissioner, that is your work. So please ensure that the practitioners understand the intention of having that item master. Okay? And it's also good for the planning, because even the planning side, you find we are doing a budget, one budget is inflated because of that kind of price. Buying a motor vehicle, same motor vehicle from the same supplier, almost twice the price. So we need to have that standardization of items and standardization of prices. The issue of pro bono of service providers, of course it's not pro bono, it's our work to ensure that these service providers are educated. And we have had engagements. The only issue that we are, of course, having is the logistics problems that we have. At the ministry, we are doing most of these trainings online. So in some cases, people in Kotido complain that they were not able to access the training because it was online, they don't have internet and so on. So that is something I thought the project manager talked about that we are going to handle. If need be, because we have also been having a discussion with PPDA, we outsource. We can outsource maybe a university or maybe it's a service provider to be able to do that kind of awareness. We have, as government and as the ministry, you know that you have put up what we call treasury centers. And in those treasury centers, we do training, as we do for PBS, and if miss, it will be the same for EGP and the same for the providers within that region. Do I have any other? Do I have any other moderator?
No, Accountant General, I think you have answered those. There are areas which seem to border around the engineering we are undertaking, and I think I can get a word from Florence. Issues to do with auto-creating, issues to do with the linkage with other systems. I find them already addressed, but I want members to hear from you on those areas.
Thank you, Commissioner, but maybe before I say something, I thought that I would ask E.D. Benson. PPDA has a capacity building team. How can we be able to leverage this one to support the providers also? Because yes, at the PMU we provide support, the Treasury Service Center provides support, but how can we incorporate this within the operations of the capacity building team?
I think that comes from Mukono. And if bidders, the level of competition is reducing because of automation, then that will be a cause for us to worry. But as Accountant General mentioned, it is a change management matter. And also providing enabling facilities, because in her presentation, she talked about empowering these internet cafes. So they need support. And as rightly said by Florence, change management is a docket of PPDA. We have a team, and they also online education materials that have been developed. So, colleague from Mukono, be part of the change management in terms of telling them where to get even these education materials online, so that they are able to meet to participate. But I would be surprised it's something still we need to look into, because the opportunity when you advertise on EGP is availed to many providers that are registered, not necessarily your pre-qualified providers in Mukono. So that's a matter that we are going to enhance in terms of capacity building and change management approaches. I can mention something, if we allow, moderator, on Engineer John, the alignment of PPDA and the Act and the system, and I think Accountant General mentioned something to do with the law. But the more important, there is also accreditation, which Florence mentioned. PPDA has powers to accredit, where we want to facilitate the procurement process. And we think the law is an impediment to that process. So we can accredit an alternative system. So some of those areas we can look at them and accredit them. I thank you.
And thank you, Bwana Edie, for that.
Thank you very much, Edie. So, Commissioner, back to your questions. Yes, rightfully said, most of what you said is going to come through the enhancement. I'll just top up first of all on the item master. The plan in place is that the item master should cut across the three systems, from budgeting to EGP to IFMS. Right from the time this item is being requisitioned and the EGP system, the system is checking against the plan and the plan is in alignment with the budgets, these items have to come through already input. But I also know that the asset management team that has been handling this sent out links for the entities to populate areas that they feel are not within the item master. Because the thing with systems is that systems are living things, maybe I should call them things. They evolve over time. Today, something you call a suit, tomorrow is not called a suit, it's probably called a cloth. It changes over time, but maybe for me, my take home is to engage my colleagues on the item master to see how can we periodically update to make sure that most of the items that you have are at least in the item master. Now, through the, I talked about the disabling of purchase requisitions. Of course, it's not something we're going to do right now. Like I mentioned, the vendor is working on a solution for staged payments. As soon as that is done and tested, we will deploy it, we will train you on how to do it, then we will block. But most definitely it's going to be within this financial year. And the reason, I gave you the reason why we're doing that, is giving entities options to use parallel processes is not helping us get where we want. So sometimes when peace fails, we have to apply some kind of force for you to be able to move to the direction that they need us to. The auto-population, yes, this is part of the enhancement. In fact, through the enhancement, we're also getting smart SBDs. They're going to be in there. We've added so many things in there. I don't want to speak so much about it because you'll say she's only talking about enhanced. I can only say just give us some time for us to bring you this system on the table. You realize most of these things we've been picking from you, we have actually addressed in the enhanced solution. Thank you.
Somebody was talking about the reports. So, about the reports, the procurement, I hope that's being done because it is a concern that most people had raised before. So, under the re-engineered process and the enhanced system, that should be able to come. And of course, I also want to again appeal to you that before we conclude on developing the enhanced systems, please send in your problems or issues that you think we should handle so that we can then incorporate them at this moment. Because we do not want, I think we are even late. I've been telling the project manager that if we have to be ready by 1st July, we should be able to start developing this system not later than January. So we are already late. And we need your issues. Send us your issues so that we can do this SRS, that is the system's requirement specifications, and then we go into development. And I do not want us, when we have started development, then to start changing and say, no, we now wanted this, we wanted this, we wanted this. And that's why we have engaged all the stakeholders. The Office of the Attorney General have sent us their requirements. Because we are working with PPD and the rest, and yourselves. And the multilateral development partners, they have also sent us their requirements. Now, these requirements, we sat and then agree on how to build the system based on those requirements that we got from the various stakeholders. So we don't want again to come out when we have built this system, then to come that, no, there is this future that did not come. Please give us all your issues that you need, and we incorporate before we start the development process. And I want to again here appeal to the procurement specialists, because it is you going to use these systems. So please take keen interest take keen interest, and I'm hoping that Commissioner and the project manager, you have taken these people through, you have the BPR, you shall take you through the SRS, so that you understand what we need to do, so that if there is any issue that you think we need to address, this is their time to address it. As you heard, we are going to move to be able to take on about 200 entities. It's not something that is very simple, because we are already having only 36, and we're having a lot of issues to deal with. So once we are on 200, I would not want to hear outcry across government. So let's ensure that we go to the 200 when we have addressed all the issues and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Accountant General. I want to thank participants for the honesty they have had in terms of submitting their concerns. It was so short a time that within 30 minutes you are able to express and give that feedback that we have received from you. We want to commit ourselves to further engagement as we've been doing, so that we continue getting the feedback from you, the 36 and other stakeholders, so then that we can have an enhanced EGP system into place. I want to take this time again to thank the panelists that were able to, in this short time, respond to the questions and expectations of the participants. I know we are about 15 minutes late into this Q&A session, but it was and still is inevitable. We ought to have done that. And on that matter, I want to therefore request the MC to pick up the mic and proceed to the next session. I know, although belatedly undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Commissioner. Can I request us, ladies and gentlemen, to appreciate our panel for ably fielding and responding to all our questions. Can I request us to also give a hand clap to ourselves for actively engaging them? The timing of this engagement couldn't have been better, as the Accountant General has guided, and I think we are moving well. I have a quick announcement here before I can invite the closing remarks. I'm advised that the Procurement Practitioners Sports and Social Club is ready. What is your response to that announcement? The practitioners in this room. I think there's an invitation for people to enlist and participate. There's going to be a launch as part of the activities for raising awareness of EGP. There's going to be a football match between State House and PPSS. I hope I have that right, sir. And the details can be found at the registration desk as we recede from this meeting. The Attorney General and Project Manager, at your leisure, perhaps even now, will request you to take a recess from the platform as we appreciate them one more time. And as I request and invite closing remarks and a vote of thanks from the Executive Director of PPDA, Mr. Benson Turamye. Can we receive his speech with a hand?
Thank you very much, the Director of Ceremonies, for guiding us well. When I looked at my watch, it is past 11, and this time we should be singing anthems. So maybe I sing in a national anthem, and the East African anthem, and we go. What about that? Mr. Chigenyi didn't allow, agree. So let me then make a few remarks, then we leave this place at leisure. The Accountant General, Mr. Lawrence Semakula, the accounting officers present in this room, the chairman of board and board members of PPDA and other boards, the members of contracts committee present, the heads PDU, the team from finance and PPDA, ladies and gentlemen. I want, again, as I make my closing remarks, also to recognize Mr. Robert Kasande, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Justice. And I think you have heard there are still issues to do with Solicitor General. You can take our message in terms of contract approval of all government contracts above 200 million. Even when you are buying one vehicle, it has to go to Attorney General to clear. So, but more important, how do we facilitate efficiency on EGP? I take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to thank each of us and everyone for your presence here today and taking off your time to attend this very important engagement as we steadily make progress towards full enrollment of EGP system. As the PSST said, EGP is a very fundamental reform, financial reform, and it is not only for PPDA or for Uganda. It's a global reform to enhance transparency, efficiency, accountability, and generally ensure value for money in public procurement systems. And as the regulator, PPDA, we are committed to ensure that in our regulatory function, this system is embraced and implemented by all procuring and disposing entities. Currently, we have 420 entities. If I remove schools, secondary schools, and we believe, as said, by the year, financial year 2025, 26, we should enroll all. As you've heard, there is a robust program of enrolling 280 next phase. We believe with the engineering, business engineering of EGP, and also with our experience in implementing in 36 entities, the rollout will be easy. I'm happy to hear the commitment from Minister of Finance in terms of the system support and financing, and also tools support. When we get to that, then our role as PPDA and as finance and as NITAU and Minister of ICT is to have a robust system, but also to enhance change management, to ensure that the mindset is transformed also to accept even the old timers like me should accept that automation has come and we have there's no surrender, there's no retreat. Automation, even when you have your phone, you have to learn it. So automation is a way to go. And as a government, that is the only way we can survive, even in this world of competition. Because if Tanzania has gone automation, Kenya, Rwanda, and you want these bidders to participate, these contractors, international contractors to participate, then you have to follow the suit. So I'm happy government embraced that, and we are moving forward. Yes, a system is in place, but we need human resource capability, attitude, and commitment. The human resource, the users, must be committed to this change. We must change our attitude, negative attitude towards automation, and we must be committed. Because the system is not going to run itself. If you are not on your computer, the inefficiencies we are talking about will still be there. So you must be available as a human being and capable even to switch on the computer and also access the system. Someone talked about the two-factor log. I'm also a user, by the way. PPD is a user. As an accounting officer, I go there. But at times, you wait for, the two-factor to log in doesn't come, you get a bit frustrated, and impatient actually, not frustrated, impatient, because at times you are busy. So the engineering, Honeycomb, you are our eyes. Even as an IT expert, as a system developer expert, you should be able to see areas of improvement without even us submitting them to you. Of course, you are aware the regulations are coming, the law has changed, and all these, the World Bank study, all these must be addressed in the engineering process. Ladies and gentlemen, the success is visible. Issues of copyright in terms of sustainability, I'm glad to hear that. The source code is for government, as Accountant General said. But I want to also appeal maybe to Minister of Finance on behalf of the implementing agencies. Yes, we got the assurance from the PSST of funding. The accounting officer, Minister of Water, was talking about logistics and tools and whatever. We are collecting resources, we are collecting money actually. Flores said bidders, the bidding fees, people are complaining. My take is that these bidding fees should remain and maybe should be protected to support the operations and maintenance of EGP, both at a system level and implementation level. Bidders have been used to pay these bidding fees or participation fees. If you get 20 bidders in one procurement, they pay only one tax, but the others have not been complaining. This has been there. So I support. Tanzania has maintained it. We had an interaction with Tanzania. Whoever is going to participate on EGP pays. And this money is protected to fund the operations and maintenance of the system. The integration, again, in terms of enforcement, Mr. Accountant General, I think also the integration of the EGP with other government systems like IFMIS, it is high time we complete that area, because some people stubbornly are using parallel systems. We have seen it, manual systems. You're on EGP, but you're also using a parallel system. But if we can have internal control, that if you use that system, if you procure outside that system, then a bidder, a provider will not be paid, or it will be checked at payment level. Then that can also help in terms of enforcing utilization. This breakfast meeting was timely since we are moving towards a full rollout of the system. In a special way, I want to thank the Minister of Finance for organizing this event and facilitating it, and pray that we continue with such engagements to improve the performance of each EGP. Allow me, as I end, recognize my board chairman and other board members that have come to support. Because we have that support at PPDA. Mr. Julius Ishunisa is our board chairman. Dr. Levi Kawagambe is a board member. Mr. David Serebe is a board member. I want to thank you for coming to embrace this occasion. I see Usman, our board secretary, also wants to stand up. You can stand up for recognition. Usman Segawa. So together, we can make a better public procurement and disposal system that will deliver efficient and effective service to the citizens of this country. It's value for money. Procurement alone is not enough, is not sufficient. But if it is used as a vehicle service delivery for the better of our citizens, then all of us will be proud. For God and my country, may the good Lord bless all of you. I declare this breakfast meeting closed.
We can appreciate Mr. Benson Turiami better. I want to, on behalf of the organizers, to appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to be here, to participate in a very pertinent conversation, and for your entities being among those where this program or reform has been piloted, and after which it will be rolled out to the whole of government. Before we can have the anthems, I'd like us to keep this conversation alive and active. We have the hashtag UGEGP2023. This conversation can continue online as we put our minds together on how to achieve maximum benefit from this reform. Without further ado, I'll request us to be upstanding as we have the anthems played in reverse order, after which we can disperse at leisure. Thank you.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Our meeting, as it were, is closed. Feel free to network, interact, mix and mingle as we take our leave to our respective responsibilities. Thank you so much for being here and for making it possible to have a successful engagement. Thank you.
automating the entire procurement cycle, right from registration of providers all the way to contracting until a payment is effected. On EGP, we're going to integrate with a number of entities whose systems have information that we depend on within the procurement cycle. At the start, for a bidder to register or a provider, they'll self-register. So self-registration, we are integrating with URA. You'll provide us with your TIN to show that actually you're registered with URA, that's Uganda Revenue Authority. Still, with URA, we're integrating with them at the point where for you to participate in every tender, we have to issue with our tax clearance certificate. Now, we are integrating with URA also at that point during the bidding process, where if we need a tax clearance certificate, you'll just punch in your number. Once you punch that in, we'll be able to validate, and the systems will talk. We'll retrieve the information that will show us whether your tax clearance certificate number is valid and you've been remitting. We'll integrate with URSB, that's Uganda Registration Services Bureau. We'll have to have your proof that you actually registered your business, you're compliant, and therefore can be able to participate in any open tenders. Then we'll issue the password that will be sent to your email, SMS notification, based on the information you'll have provided us with. Once we are done registering, information will be sent through, still via the system, in the comfort of wherever you are. It could be in your sitting room, it could be in your office, wherever you are. You'll submit your information online. We'll be able to receive it at PPDA side through the Register of Providers office. We'll validate the information that you've provided us with, and once all that you've provided suffices for you to be able to cross on and be able to participate in any procurement, you'll be notified via email and via SMS. You'll have a username and a password that will also have the link for you to be able to access any open tenders. During your registration, you categorize the kind of service that you offer. If you're offering supplies, maybe of stationery, you'll categorize that. So whenever an open tender is there for supplies, you'll be able to be notified, and you can check it out through the PPDA website. We'll have a central link that will redirect you to the EGP portal where you can be able to participate. Then all government payments, be it payments for tenders, administrative reviews, will be made through the e-government payment gateway. This is a system that's directly under NITA, but it's helping us move away from walking into banks. You'll sit within the comfort of your home or your office, and you'll be able to make a payment. So if it gets to a part where the tender that you're applying for has some fees that are needed, you'll connect through, the link will automatically redirect you to a portal where you'll be able to make an online payment. It could be through mobile money, through internet banking, through mobile banking. The systems talk. Once that payment is made, we'll issue with a payment reference number. Payment gateway will send the money through URA to the consolidated fund. We'll be able to proceed with the cycle. Along the way, we are integrating with NSSF to make sure that you're compliant. There's a requirement within the law, if you're employing more than 5 people, you should be remitting their NSSF. So we are also integrating with NSSF. Once the contract has been awarded, we'll be integrating with IFMIS, that is the Integrated Financial Management System. That's at Ministry of Finance. You don't need to walk there to remind anyone to make a payment. Once all the milestones have been achieved, the person within the entity that you're offering the service to will be able to log on to the portal. The information, since the system is already talking, there's limited back and forth. Your information is already automatically retrieved, and the payment process is triggered, and still within the comfort of your desk, you'll receive your payment. Integrating with the program budgeting system, it's also within Ministry of Finance, but we'll be able to retrieve the budgets. We'll retrieve the budgets, you'll tell how much has been approved for a particular entity. You'll be able to raise your procurement requisitions through those budgets. You want to know how many items for your entity were passed and are approved. You don't need to walk to Ministry of Finance or to walk to a notice board and read to see how much of yours has been approved and what items you're able to procure. All that information is going to be visible. We're integrating all those systems to make sure we have a thorough end-to-end procurement cycle automated. At the end of it all, we are looking at making the procurement process so convenient. We are cutting out all the back and forth where someone tells you procurements in Uganda are concluded in the shortest is 100 days. We are reducing all that because the same efforts you're putting to walk in and queue up to submit your bid is the same effort someone is putting to sit down and open page by page of the documents you've submitted. This is all going to be convenient for both the end user and the entity that needs the service.
With EGP, government procurement has never been more efficient. No more carrying bulky papers or being stuck in traffic jam. No more sign here or sit there. Bid goodbye to binding bid documents. Say hello to paperless and remote procurement bid submissions.
To experience efficiency in government procurement, visit www.egpuganda.go.ug to register. Electronic government procurement. Efficient, transparent, secure.
The electronic government.